Sure is a beautiful day today. Lots of sun. Makes me think about all the things I might want to do. Look at that pool. It looks so refreshing. But not yet. Why? 'Cause now I need to practice. Yeah, I'm really glad that I practiced, so I hope that you'll sound the same way after you practice this week. Better than swimming. So, how are we going to practice this piece to get to that level? There's a couple of clues that you can do. One, again, is to look at the theory of the piece. The beginning. Recognize that? Chords and inversions. I choose the same fingering as I would on chords and inversions. Measure 5. Chords and inversions. So that's the first thing. Practice the chord and inversion. Next chord. Next chord. What is the wrist doing? At the end of every slur mark, this is important, at the end of every slur mark, your wrist should lift. At the end of the slur, your wrist should lift. You can practice that by taking your hand and lifting it like this. Now notice it's not this. That kind of looks like Frankenstein, right? Now you want this joint here is going to be your moving muscle. So this is something you can work with your students on by taking their wrist and helping them to lift. See how I have my one finger underneath it? And that is all over this whole piece. See how the wrist is lifting? It's going to happen many times for you to get to practice that. So the beginning we had the, then the scale, chords, scale. Practicing only the exposition, first theme group. Then going over to the recapitulation at measure 19, we had the same thing. But you're glad you learned that in theory class, that you have exposition and the recapitulation in the original key. They're very similar, so practice those back to back. Now the second theme group in the exposition, you remember from theory class, or even music history that you're learning now, it's usually a contrasting theme. First theme was, listen to the second theme. A different quality, a different effect. And then when it comes back in the recapitulation, notice the similarities. All right, now what's different about the second theme in the exposition versus the second theme in the recapitulation? I'm playing for you now, measure 13, 14, 15. Now look at that same idea when it returns in the recapitulation at measure 31. Same, but now what happens at 32? We don't have, but we have. I bet you're smart enough to know That's because in the recapitulation, the theme comes back in the original key. It can't transpose. We don't need to go to the development anymore. Now we're going to go to the coda. So that 14 and 32, you practice those back to back and you see the difference. So again, the second theme in original in the exposition. And second theme in the recapitulation. A little bit different at the very end. And then the development, look at that. It's only 4 bars long. Not much to learn. Did you notice that at 15? Sequence. Sequence. Ending. Again, putting your theory skills to work here. Third finger, third finger, third finger. 3, 3. That's why I'm so picky about fingering, because fingering can help you, your hand to get to the right position, as well as to kind of learn how to use your fingering to create sequence. Same fingering up a step. Same fingering up a step. That's important when you work with your students in the future. Be thinking about that. The only other part to learn will be 33, where we have the coda. There we have a lot of scales. So we just have to remember our scale fingering, the right hand. So you notice that this week you will actually only practice the exposition on 42. But next week you'll go on and do the development. And by the following week you'll do it all. Some of you will be able to learn this rather quickly and will have the whole thing ready to go by the end of next week. Some of you will take a little longer and will need that whole time until we get to October 2nd when we perform it. But begin to think about it in a pedagogical sense, noticing those similarities and differences. So this is going to be a fun piece. I hope you like it. We have discussed scale fingering several times already, and you'll notice that this D major and D harmonic minor that you have this week, same principles. Third fingers are together, 1s and 2s are opposites. D harmonic minor. We're considering the fact that the thumb stays behind the finger that's playing. The wrist moves this way and not this way when you do scales. On page 45 this week, you have the triads and inversions. Basically, we're working here the same way we've been, of different ways. Remember the idea of a concept being done in many different exercises. We have the first inversion chord. We have a root. We have a root. Or sorry, first inversion, a root. It's kind of a fun theory exercise, this one. The second example. Sorry. So again, it's taking an idea of a concept of the chords and inversions and how they might be resolved, moving to something each time, and practicing in various forms. You'll notice again it says transposing those, so try them in different key areas as well. So that is your triads and inversions. On page 47, the bottom example here, using 1, 2, 6, 5, 7, 1. So that's like your chord progression you learned. F major is 1, 2 is G minor, 5, 7 is C7, and F. So this is just like that old progression. The 1, 2, G minor, thumb goes there, B flat D, 5 is C, root 3rd, 7th, back to 1, 2, 6, 5, 7, 1. So this is that exercise in progression you played on your final exam last semester. We're going to use that for this piece. And transpose. And we also have page 48, Sweet Betsy from Pike. Here, 1, 5, 1, easy enough. Here's a little different, right? D minor, so if we're in the key of F, F, G, A, B, C, D, 6th chord. Going to C, which is 5. 6 going to 5, little different, 6 going to 5. Now the 6th chord goes to A minor, F, G, A, which is 3, B flat, F. So in this particular example, follow along exactly as it says. So for example, when it says D minor, you're going to put it in root. When it says a C7, you'll put the C7 with the E in the bass. The A minor chord with C in the bass. So looking at that, here's our F, C7, F. D minor on 6, D minor. 7, a C7 with E in the bass. That's just our 5 chord, right? Measure 8, the D minor. Measure 9, A minor chord with C in the bass. A, C, E, A, C, E. B flat chord, B, D, F, and back to C. Get that a little bit further away for you here. So this one would be always a broken accompaniment, always playing it in a different key as well. All right, that sums up the most difficult parts of our lesson for this week. I think you're ready to go ye into the world and become great practicers. See you next week.